We're back. Another boys, homies, compadres episode, as some might say.
La Famiglia.
That's right, dude.
Yeah.
La Costa Nostra. Ear God, Don Juan, Jared Suter, Ear God, Don Juan. However you want to sauce it up. All three of us are here today.
Listen, a prodigy, as some have labeled. I don't want to say who. Might be a bar that's coming soon to an ear near you. We'll see.
Man. Boys, I mean, we're not ones who like to gloat, who like to brag, but the motion for the pod stuff lately has been, we've been flowing.
Feels
say the
good,
least.
dude. It feels good, dude. The Odd Squad show, again, thank you to Odd Squad, everyone, Nubs, Kaleidoscope Kid, Manager Matt. We appreciate you guys. That was
Chunk. Don't forget
absolutely,
Chunk,
of course, cannot forget. What an incredible experience. Got some crazy good footage. What a night, dude. And just lanes opening up. We got some new heat, new lane, kind of semi-new lane for us. Interview dropping soon.
Yep.
We got some big ideas cooking, dude. We got motion coming, dude.
Jared's been killing it with the Did You Knows. We're back on that. Different content ideas. Another show we just popped out to. Shout out She Loves Sway. Killed it in the Maryvale area. Pulled up and came through for that. But yeah, it's been fun. Ear God, I know you're 2,000 plus miles away, but I know you're feeling the vibes all the way from out here from what we got going on, man. So
Oh yeah, right now I'm repping AZ all day. I've been talking about the pod with other people. People have been noticing from over here. And honestly, one of my favorite episodes that we've had this season, and probably say the last two seasons, was the Nubs and Kaleidoscope Kid episode. The fact that we had two guests on at the same time. So the fact that we had 5 people on one episode was absolutely incredible. It was a great episode. I feel like we really unpacked a lot of Nubs' project. The fact that I used Kaleidoscope Kid as like who did I refer to him as? I'm trying to remember.
You said they were.
I basically said they were in the
Bad Boy or Def Jam.
No, I said they were in the Rockefeller era.
That's what it was. Rockefeller.
yes.
Yeah, and I feel
Dash
like
going down hard right now though.
to me, like even seeing you guys at their show, being able to edit some of those videos and some of the clips and stuff like that, it just seems like they're really locked in. I'm really loving what they're doing. And then even just like the small stuff that we've been doing, like Jared, you getting back in the Did Your Knows, like the fact that we've been having so many conversations of like how to batch that content together, how to make it a lot easier. Bro, that shit's, it's been so fun.
I
feel
not know anything about that.
No,
and the
I did
way
not know
came
any of that
together was
either.
Fucking awesome. Dude.
Honestly, like, imagine getting to witness Marvin Gaye versus Prince. That would have been crazy. And Charlie Murphy.
Jay Buddy was with us.
Okay, Charlie Murphy and Prince versus Marvin Gaye and Chris Brown. That would be sick. If we get all 4 of those.
Yeah,
That'd be tough.
Dope. I think Marvin Gaye and Chris Brown all day.
Breezy's a hooper, man. He's won the Celebrity All-Star game. I think he's won 2 MVPs at least. I mean, guys got notable footage.
If anyone's gonna ever question if Marvin was about it, we know how he passed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yes.
Hey, if there
That's a crazy thing.
if you were born in the 90s, bring back the Gus Macker.
Oh wow, Gus Macker turns, dude. Yeah,
bring back the Gus
that's some
Macker.
old school shit, dude.
Yeah.
Really quick, Drew, I'm glad you brought up the Nubs and Kaleidoscope Kid episode because that was fantastic. I've had a lot of great episodes, but shout out Jay Money. I mean, for a guy who is just kind of an OG, a mentor who just has been around the block and just knows how to talk game, like. The ROI we've got from Jay Money alone is good, and I guess we can make the announcement here. We've made him an official member of the group, and he's got the green light to pull up to the stew any Friday night that we're here and just bull out with us. So that was dope.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very sad that I didn't get a chance to make that episode, but to edit and to like review everything, I think me and Dom were talking like the first 15 minutes, we literally couldn't go past that because it was so damn hilarious.
It was hard for me to get past the first like 22 minutes because that last like 4 or 5 was the jiggy jerking, and bro, I just
his reaction
was
made it, dude.
Yeah,
you
dude.
ever had a girl hop on top of start jiggy jerking? He's like,
yeah,
Yeah.
so good, dude.
And what's funny is I literally did not remember any of those lyrics, and I've heard that song many, many times.
Oh, dude, it's a great.
And what's
song.
funny is like that none of that occurred to me, and I went back and I was like, did he really say that? And I went back and I was like, oh wow, Jared really fixated on that when he was a Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It was
bro. and-
perfect, dude.
Yeah,
best part of
it
that
literally
song
just
is-
was one of those moments where I was like, oh damn, that was like a moment like
She
that you're
fucked
just
up from the charm.
Dude.
You know?
Dude, the best part is he heard that beat, everything sounded right, and it was just like, you know, he got in the booth and he was just like, how do we start this one off, dude? And he goes, oh, I like it like that, dude.
Yeah.
Just start out, oh.
It's one of those choruses it'll stick with your
Bro,
brain for a while.
one person I would love to interview, and I feel like he's an email away.
He's accessible.
I feel like he's accessible enough. He's watched our stories a few times. Is Manny Fresh? I feel like he's
Wait,
of-
wait.
Wait, Manny Fresh.
Wait,
watched
Manny
our
Fresh
stories
has
a few
watched our
times?
stories?
Yeah.
What- how do we?
Did we? Is it when we did that? We put him in a countdown once.
yeah. We put him in a countdown, and he
him in
watched
the-
our stories. Yeah,
Manny
this was like season 2.
Manny Fresh.
Oh wow, dude! Damn, we're throwing back to the pod, dude. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
season 2. He like
forgot
watched one of
about
our
that.
stories.
You know, when you
I feel
have-
like he's accessible enough where we can send an email. Maybe have to throw a little bread or
Dude,
like if
listen,
one of us
Manny
has
Fresh is
to
a
if we have to
fucking
fly out to
legend,
New Orleans, like, bro,
I love you. Listen, I told you guys about New Orleans, dude. That's a boys
that's
trip.
yeah.
waiting to
You
happen,
did
dude.
tell me. Now that would
And
be
the
a place
food
I
is-
would love to all of us do a within range retreat. Hey, by the way, if anybody wants to join the within range retreat, we'll do like a little beat house, make some records,
Well,
maybe put out a
listen, we
mixtape.
can't
I don't know.
Can't just be
The
inviting
Within
anybody.
Range Retreat, aka us gloriously pimping out Drew's incredible engineering skills, dude.
Hey, all you do is pay for the Airbnb, and for some of your food, the recording is free.
There we go. There we go. Real quick, boys. I think one of the last things I want to say before we get into what we're going to talk about. Speaking of the J Money episode, for those of you who have been keeping up with us, we did make a little announcement about our first challenge, if that's what you want to call it. You know, Snoop Eastwood, you know, called out anybody who thinks they could step up to rapping over our outro beat. In the moment, you know, it was incredible. We realized what we need to do with it. We've, you know, made reels about it. And so far, from some of the beats and verses we got sent to us, people are cooking, dude.
I'll give anyone a hint. I don't know if this drops in time for, you know, to give some advice to the last people hitting the deadline there. If you don't drop us individually by name, I don't know how I could crown you above what I've heard currently.
So, Jared, so if I'm getting this correct, the name drop for us, it's a game changer. If you happen to do
because
it.
it was unsolicited. We didn't even say, it didn't even have to be about the pod. That
Yeah,
actually
that's
wasn't.
true.
There was no direction that we were
Yeah.
gonna have it like, oh, you have to rap about. Make us sound sick.
Two
And
two so
we're just
far
like,
have made
rap
us.
over
We're
the
like,
beat.
okay, yeah, that made us sound
Yeah,
really
just
dope.
rap over the beat, and you know,
And some of the this might come out by the time we got there, but you know, if not, just know that some of the names of the people who are participating, some of the best lyricists
heavy hitters, dude.
this side of the 101, dude, this side of the I-17, whatever you want to call it, dude.
Within the greater 303, 202 loop.
We got a 219er in there too.
Yeah, we do got.
We got
yeah.
we got a 219er. who threw it.
That's my guy. And let's just put it this way. He was on episode 1. That's the only little hint I'll give you. But also, I wanted to give a little bit of a disclaimer for anybody that decides to put a verse on it. 12 to 16 bar verse. Make sure you send the beat and the acapella of your verse, but also the very last thing, you have to make a performance video. And not only that, it has to be 16 by 9. So which means it's got to be in widescreen, not vertical. It's got to be in widescreen. The reason why is because we want to put it at the end of the episode of our actual YouTube video. So beat, acapella of your verse, and then also a 16 by 9 version of the performance video to make sure that everybody is clear. Anybody that decides that want to spit a verse. And also too, we decided we're not going to pick one particular winner. I want to announce that anybody that's taken the time out to do a verse, I feel like is very well appreciated. That needs to be recognized. It shouldn't be about one person. The fact that anybody took the time out to do this, I feel like should deserve a spot.
Yeah.
So every couple episodes, you might see your verse on there. We'll reach out to you. And then also too, I feel like every Friday we should drop that verse as a specific piece of short form content. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
With it.
Another thing we got coming is we're gonna start putting playlists together for each episode.
Ooh, talk about it.
Huh?
Talk about it,
we're gonna-
Jared. 'Cause that
Oh,
idea is
yeah, yeah.
fire. What'd you call it earlier? Something
Oh,
pack?
yeah, just like we're gonna put like an episode drop pack together, basically, and I think it'll be. We'll figure out exactly the format. It's definitely gonna include Spotify and Apple Music playlists. So every time you see the episode, you go watch it on YouTube. You'll get a link there. We'll probably just drop it in like the description or something, but like you can get the link to all the playlists there. And we want to give some value to you, the listener, and be like, hey, we took the time to interview this person. They took the time to talk to us. Here's what we highlighted. It's going to be things that all three of us like. So the songs that we talk about on episodes, it'll be things that the artist wants to highlight. So
Love that.
little curation coming your way. That's going to be a theme, curation.
You
I
called
feel
it
like-
an episode
yeah.
pack. I remember. I was like,
Ed Pack, dude. Love
Yeah,
that.
that's gonna be
pack
super
out.
dope. I really like that, and I think too Jared, I feel like that'd be a great narration for you to break down some of the lyrics, like do like kind of like the little genius shit, highlight some of
Jared's
the bars in
amazing
there. Yeah, that
what did you mean by? All right, Jared.
Kodak, when you said I kick little dumbass out my crib because she wants to know, what do you mean, dude? Who was that?
All right, so I think Jared said he got some topics in. Now there was one that he mentioned when I got here off camera, and I was like, yes, I feel like it needs to be said. It needs to be dived into.
Okay.
And Jared, listen, if Jared's got a topic, he ain't just coming off the cuff, dude. You know, he might, one idea might spark and then he'll go into it. But if he comes ready with the notes ahead of time,
he has the
you
deep dive.
know he did his homework, dude.
Yeah, he's got the deep dive for sure.
It's near and dear to my heart, because a huge part of this podcast is people that we have to like enjoy you as a person too. Like that adds to being a fan. You don't have to be likable. You know, you can make a banger and sometimes it's undeniable, but it adds a lot as a fan when you connect with the artist, and
Agreed.
an artist that I connect with heavily. I have embarrassing statistics to back it up from Spotify.
The Spotify rap numbers.
If Spotify could diagnose autism, they would almost certainly have kind of diverted me into a lane there, because it's been a couple years in a row. It's like, dude, I think I saw one that was like you were in the top 0.1%.
Yes, you showed me that.
You listened to Gunna for 283 minutes more than the average listener this month. That's in the top
crazy.
0.1% of listeners, and I was just like, okay, that's
Top 0.1%.
that's a problem. There's a lot of people on the Spotty, dude, and Gunna's.
There's billions of
Gunna's
people on the
got a lot,
Spotty, dude. Listen, if there's any reason why Gunna would want to come on our show,
I'm
it
just
could
saying,
be-
where's my DM, dude? Where's my like, hey, dude, are you good? It's like you ever seen the Netflix? They come out with their stats every year, and they're like, someone has watched. God, dude, it was like Forrest Gump, or it was some movie that was just like, what the
Constantly
F? Yeah, dude, and it
everything.
was like, and someone then finally saw it, and they were like, oh yeah, that's my cousin with Down syndrome. He watches it at least 2 to 3 times a day, and so this person just watched like, I forget what it was, dude. It was crazy, but yeah, that's me with Gutta. But okay, but so like, obviously you got to connect, and I love Young Thug, I love Gunna. The catalog of just those two together.
Incredible.
Is something special. I think "Oh Okay" is one of the most beautiful songs ever made.
Agreed.
Gunna makes amazing music. Thug makes amazing music, and that trial. I'm not a legal analyst, but that is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Because I thought it did look like Gunna snitched. Spoiler alert on what I'm gonna say here. My personal opinion is I don't think you can conclude that, but I do have like a thesis on why we're at where we're at. But I thought Gunna snitched. I thought Thug was going down,
Yeah.
and look where we are now. It's just beautiful. He just dropped the track with Future.
Riding around in whips. Yeah.
But-
Future and
Yeah,
Okay,
he's out.
so I do have to get the notes out here because it's a lot to unpack. But basically, he did an Alford plea, and I had to look that
A
up.
what?
I had never heard of that in my life. Okay, And apparently there's a it's a lot like kissing your sister, okay? It's a tie. You know what I mean?
The tie.
So basically what it is they got him on like a racketeering charge or something like that. And it's admitting that they had enough evidence to prosecute you, but you're not admitting guilt. And then he took the one charge and got off.
Oh,
Okay?
okay.
So the important things to know here, and you can look all this up. I'm going to try and I could go deep, but I'm going to try and stick to the high level facts here. The big thing against him is that he said that it was a gang, people that got popularized. Right. Obviously that didn't pan out, right? Thug's legal team, shout out Brian Steele.
Brian Steele.
They said that Gunna's deal in no way impacted the trial. And
Really?
in fact, they did it because if Gunna had gone to trial, because of the way RICO works, it would have opened up like 2 times the amount of appeals that both of them, because part of a RICO thing is that they can connect other cases.
Right.
So they're not all
That's
separate.
what they're doing with Diddy. They're saying Diddy's case can be RICO.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the RICO thing means that they can connect other cases to yours. It's not like just done in a vacuum.
Right.
So I think because of that, okay, it opens up twice the appeals, so they could have stalled it out at that point for a pretty insane amount of time.
And they can keep you in prison too. It's not like you can just walk out.
Well, but I think he was out. Like I think he had bail. He had bailed
Gunna
himself.
was out.
Gunna was
They
out,
were
but I'm saying like Gunna wasn't on the Gunna was a part of the RICO charge, but he wasn't the RICO charge. So
yeah,
like
he wasn't the main target. They had enough to get it, but it would have opened up a way for Thug, I think, to really just delay the process and really just start making it be a pain in the ass. So it was in their interest to do that. I don't think he was never called to testify, so he never testified. And I think the biggest thing for me is that Thug and his legal team specifically requested, as part of his probation terms, that he be able to be in contact with Gunna.
What? I didn't know that.
Why would you do that if you hate him? And
But were they in contact? You're yeah, I get what you're saying. 'Cause you're like he was able to, so they had to have been, right? You would assume.
that's what I'm saying. But
it's
so,
all the
like,
things
the fact
behind
that he
all the
was
things
involved
behind
with the
closed
case-
doors. Yeah.
Exactly. Like you have no idea what that is. They were both. I mean, Gunna was fighting for probably a significant portion, maybe not his entire life. Thug was fighting for his life. His life.
Yeah.
You have no idea what kind of back channel stuff there, and I'm not saying here's my kind of thesis on it. Unfortunately, in this game, it's just like the mafiosos, right? Like they give away.
I did have one that's it's sentimental to me. That's where my heart always is. We have playlists, I feel like, that define us. I feel like we have playlists for different situations, and I feel like we have playlists that like are always a go-to for us when we go to do a specific activity every single day. For us, we're very creatures of habit. We like to do specific things every single day. Dom likes to go play ball at 5 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes. Jared likes to go golf.
Sometimes.
Lights up the Traeger. Cook up some steaks.
Sometimes.
Oh yeah.
For me, I do like to cook up some steaks. I do like to clean the house. I like to go pick up the kids from school, especially go take my son to practice. If you had to define a specific playlist by activity of what you did every single day, somebody said, hey, what activity and what playlist are you picking that defines you? What would you go with? So you got to pick the activity that defines you based on the playlist that it goes with it. So for me, it's going for cooking.
Okay.
So for me, my playlist of like what defines me as a whole is my cooking playlist, and it goes anywhere from 90s R&B to like Mark Morrison to Tony to Tony Braxton to Brandy to Maya, like
A lot of ease.
right. And then we're even getting into like the 99 2000s to like Pink, Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, and then we're even going to like the mid 2000s with like T-Pain, Nelly, DMX, Jay-Z. Like to me, it's like the golden era of like my years of growing up to what music is for me, and that's what gets my cooking like involved, because it's like a culmination of all the years of like seeing all my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, my mom, my dad cooking, and then with being all my cousins, like that's the culmination of what's going into my food. So for you guys, like what's your guys' playlist that defines you and what activity goes with it?
Jared, you're up, dude.
Damn. It's probably my taking a dump to the Beatles playlist. Dude. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a hell of a
Here
lead
comes the
up.
sun, dude. It would be lifting weights to like Korn and Creed, or blog era, our college days versus the streaming era nowadays. I think it's an interesting debate because there's pros and cons on each side, and such is life. I don't think there is a clear answer. I think it's shades of gray, and I think it's ultimately it's reliant on people that actually are in it for the right reasons, and people finding that, recognizing it, and doing it. Because my crux of this argument is a few things, I guess, but ultimately, with the blog era, you had curation, and there were styles, and it was specific to a genre. And it took all the noise of shit coming out, because there were still platforms. It was coming out on iTunes, Beatport, all these other SoundCloud. Like there was all these other platforms, and those blogs. Like I remember This Song Slaps, HotNewHipHop.com, obviously DatPiff. Like there was a bazillion of them, Two Dope Boys or something like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, like yes, there was crossover, but like they all kind of had their niche too. Like Hot New Hip Hop was very mainstream.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And then there was like This Song Slaps would play like remixes, and that was maybe a little more electronic. Like, but you got curation, and now just like I was saying a bit ago, it's like what playlist? It's like honestly, like if it's a specific situation, I will go and look up a playlist, but I don't have like a go-to list of songs anymore.
Yeah.
It is like what I've been listening to recently. Occasionally I'll queue up. I basically do it myself, just queuing things up now. I'm like, okay, I'd like to probably hear these like few artists in the next 20 minutes.
Right.
And I'll queue it up there. So it's like and so now with the algorithm, like people are able to get in there. It opens up the market, I guess, a little bit more because you had to get picked up by the blog.
Yeah.
You could also make the argument that those are complete gatekeepers and it's pay to play. And if it's completely pay to play, if it's totally transactional, then yeah, that is a terrible system. But if it is either they pick it up organically because they fuck with it, and then the audience is like, well, this blog says that I like it, let me give it a shot, and then it is good and it takes off and those people build their credibility. It's like that's mutually beneficial.
Right.
So people recognize that. Like I think Hot New Hip Hop, World Star. Some great shit comes out on World Star.
Yeah.
Some booty ass shit comes out on
Yeah.
World Star
Yeah,
too. You
that's
know what
true.
I mean? And like those guys pay to play, and it's up to the listener to decipher what's great and what's
Yeah.
not.
To take viral, it needs to.
But as an audience member, like that puts a burden on you, right? So it's like there is a sweet spot there, and I think, not to get on a soapbox, but like that's one thing that I do like about the podcast here. We're not charging people. We obviously are into whether it's your music, whatever you're making, we're into you and the motion you got going if you come on here. And our hope is that the guests relate to that and are like, hey, these guys have good taste. I should probably know about this person. That's why we're going to do the playlist and start getting all that stuff. But we've lost curation. And then, so my counter to the pay to play and like all that stuff is like, you really still have that in the algorithm because you have people that manipulate the algorithm, and then you have bots and streams, and you're seeing it with Drake and Kendrick right now. And everyone says Drake lost. That's fine. His lawsuit is continuing to move forward.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to get that bag. And Spotify just did this huge crackdown on bots and
Yeah.
fake streams.
They do it every like 3-4 years or so.
And whose numbers went down?
Yeah.
The size 7 men's. Okay?
Size 7's
And
crazy.
Drake
dude. Braxton wears
has
like
not
an 8.
budged an inch, and you can look that up.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's shit like that where it's just like, okay, it still gets manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
So don't tell me that there's still gatekeeping.
Oh yeah.
It's just, I don't know, more back channel and hackery than you imagine.
Yep.
Yeah, and so it's just like there's still that, and I do think that there's gonna be a revolt. Oh wait, where it's like going into the supermarket and there's 50 types of ketchup. I don't fucking give me Hunt's
Yeah.
and Heinz and whatever the store brand is. I'll take 3. You can give me 3, and you see stores that succeed like Trader Joe's, Costco. Like a lot of them do that.
Mm-hmm.
People are gonna. It gets exhausting at this point, and like honestly, I don't even trust the curation at this point. Like I don't listen to a lot of things, and a lot less songs make it onto my radar than they used to. And or I have to put in a lot of work, or I'm going to things like pages that I feel have some element of curation. So
Yeah.
I think curation is more important, and it's just like the podcast thing. Like people are choosing to not watch mainstream media because they know that there's some agenda there, and then they go out and find the podcast or YouTube channels that aligns with their values, right or wrong, but they have the right to do that. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
And I think people get to, that's the point of it. This is our view. We're authentic, and hopefully it connects with enough people that this is a sustainable thing. You get value out of watching it. We're able to make a living off of it. Like that's a great thing. But I guess summary. I miss the blog era.
Yeah. Facts.
Trying to get back to some stuff of that.
I feel that.
Not everything, but
No, I absolutely, actually, I can go on a whole episode about this, to be honest with you. So the blog era was the pinnacle of discovering independent music before it became popular. It was the time where you can view free music before you bought into the artist. And how that was done was it was done by way of blog like websites. Every major city had about 5 or 6 different blog sites that were popular in each city. But not only that, they were all covering specific subgenres of music. And then there was like maybe 1 or 2 artists that like would slip through the cracks that were just like way too undeniable, like your Kendrick Lamar's, your J. Cole's, your Drake's, your Nicki Minaj's, your B.O.B.'s. Yeah, there's some people that were like way too like there was too undeniable that like they were on across all platforms. And they were in that particular era where it was post CD, where like you didn't have to have a major label to have your CDs in stores. Record labels and even CD shops that were still around at the time were still selling mixtape CDs. Mixtapes were just literally free music that like they couldn't get onto major distributions because of sampling clearances. Some of the best songs I would say that are on mixtapes had samples in them that got cleared in the aspect of like you weren't making money off of it, so we're not going to take it down. There's no way we can take it down. But at the same time, they were able to make a whole living off of doing shows, selling off of iTunes, doing merch. Even Futuristic, on when we had him on the pod, I had asked him about
I remember that.
one of the guys he has done music with, which is Help Me Devon, which he's a very big in the engineer space when it comes to engineering, doing content, and also he has his own set of plugins and things like that he sells. He said 2016 was around the best year for independent artists to sell music digitally. And this was even before that. So we're talking about the blog era is probably 2007 to 2014. So one of the biggest platforms that we had was DatPiff.
DatPiff, yeah.
DatPiff, if your shit broke DatPiff, yours was the biggest mixtape ever. Mm-hmm. And there was so many different mixtapes that I found not only during my high school years but during my college years, and I've recognized so many different artists and so many different blog sites that I found them from, that to me that was the best volume of discovery, because we were able to curate our own playlists and CDs without feeling like we were stealing, without feeling like we were taking away something from the artist. They were doing that on purpose to market themselves, to say, hey, we're going to be in Chicago in this particular area. Come see a show. You might see us on YouTube, where YouTube was brand new at the time, just like Wiz Khalifa was doing his different he was one of the first people to do blogs or to do vlogs. So yeah, so if you just so happen to go to a Wiz Khalifa show, you might end up on the blog. You can show all your friends that, and then all of a sudden when he's at the Ohio show, you might end up at the Ohio show. You're just going to start buying merch. Then when he gets signed and they get onto the XXL freshman cover, that was another thing. That was where the pinnacle of like independent music was XXL freshman cover gave, like, that was the shit.
Was the best last good one.
Yep.
That was the best thing, I would say, of like the pinnacle of independent artists, was like when an artist got signed, or when they were just so big as an independent artist before they got signed and they got onto the freshman cover, they made it.
Yeah.
If you go back to the two
difference is it's me on the cover.
Yeah, if you go back to the 2008 cover to now, there's so many big artists that made it on there that are like, oh damn, like it really started for them before that. Kendrick Lamar was on it, Kid Cudi was on it, Ace Hood was on it, Asher Roth, Blue. Like, I could name probably 30 different artists that have been on it. So to me, I would say, if we exclude the big disc era, which is like Dr. Dre, Eminem, Ludacris, DMX, those guys, right, that came out 99 to 2004. I would say from 2007 to 2013, the blog era was probably the best time of music, period, when it comes to like discovering new artists. Now it's to the point where if something goes viral, you can't decide whether if you like them or not. They're in your face regardless.
Yeah, they're there. Yeah.
They're there.
Yeah.
And then even now, to a point, the guys that were once, think about it. Wiz Khalifa literally has the biggest streaming song of all time. Yeah. Not like the biggest hip hop song. He has one of the biggest streaming songs ever.
It was the most watched YouTube video ever, and then Justin Bieber enthroned him with Despacito, I think.
Right. And now he's on podcasts basically saying like he's fell off. He's recognized it. He's not getting invited to the same parties like he used to. He's like I got to figure out different ways to make money for myself and to keep things going, and to like now I'm just focused on my fan base that's been down since day one.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
that's the craziest. Yeah, that's the craziest thing to think about. Is there's more ways to make money as an artist or as a content creator, right? But it's the most hardest to keep the most attention. That's at this point, this is your biggest currency nowadays, is attention. It's not even really what you can provide to sell. Back then, it was like you had to have talent and some business sense to be able to sell what it is you're actually portraying.
I think it's funny too, because it's like, as we're talking about it, it's like we treat it as art and separate from business, but it really is just the same. That's just a bubble trajectory, right? And that 2016 thing makes perfect sense, because what happened? There was a problem with the market. Talented people were not able to put their music out there, and you had to be an Eminem where you absolutely grinded for it. And what's his name? Who am I thinking of? The Beats.
Dr. Dre?
No, not Dre. The other guy. But whatever. He found his tape and he's like, Dre, you got to hear this one. It was like in his garage. It's like, you got to be the lucky one that gets pulled.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a problem in the system, because there's people that are deserving that aren't getting out there. And so then technology comes along, solves that. There's this flood, but it was still not like common knowledge. So the people that really wanted it and had the talent and were right there, but just didn't have the push to get there, those people went out, and we had this golden era of underground music. And then just like every bubble, like cryptocurrency, the .com bubble, everything like that, it pops out and only the strong survive.
Yeah.
And there we are.
Yeah.
Projects that came out of the blog era: Cushion Orange Juice, J. Cole The Warm Up, Kendrick Lamar Section 80, Big Sean, Finally Famous, Volume 3. ASAP Rocky, Live Love ASAP. Drake, So Far Gone. Mac Miller, Kids. Dom Kennedy, From the West Side with Love. Joey Badass, 1999. Nipsey Hussle, The Marathon. Currency, Childish Gambino. Wale, The Mixtape About Nothing.
Yeah.
Meek Mill, Dream Chasers 2, 2012. Danny Brown, Triple X, Action Bronson, Blue Trips, Freddie Gibbs, Earl Sweatshirt. These are Chance the Rapper, 10 Day. These are all guys that came up and blew up because of the blog era. And
Damn, bro.
Yeah, Chance the Rapper came out with not only 10 Day, but he came out with Acid Rap. Asher Roth came out with
he came out with I Love College and Nothing.
Yeah, he came out with the Greenhouse Effect, which actually he sent me a personally signed copy of the Greenhouse Effect on CD. So shout out to Asher Roth for that.
I take it back.
Rocky Fresh came out with Driving 88 and Electric Highway, which was actually mixed by my mentor Steve Anderson, which was actually the reason why I went back to Chicago to pursue my music career, and actually got a chance to work with him for the next 5 years after that. So it's things like that that can cause a trajectory for anyone. And then even Wale had his the Something About Nothing mixtapes. B.O.B. had his Adventures of Bobby Ray. That was before it actually became an album.
Banger.
Ace Hood had his albums that was co-signed by DJ Khaled. That was the first time I ever heard of Cash Flow. That was like my senior year anthem. Dom knows this, and my brother's Acura TL. There's all these different artists I feel like that came out around that time. I feel like that cannot ever be duplicated. Not only how they came out, but just the artists themselves. I've never heard any artists like the 100 to 150 artists that came out around the blog era. It's just nothing competes to that moment, in my opinion. Yeah. Like just the act, like music videos came out not only on YouTube. I was buying music videos on iTunes. Songs were coming out on iTunes. Stuff was getting downloaded on DatPiff.
91 Cents a John, dude.
For real. And not only that, everybody had a go-to blog. Whether if it was Now Right, Two Dope Boys, somebody I went to high school with started Ill Roots, who's now he used to be the creative director for Big Sean. He actually was the creative director for the Super Bowl for Kendrick Lamar. Wow. Shout out to Mike Carson. There's these different entities and different people that like really made this time period, I feel like, super special. And I feel like it actually bleeds into what we do today. Because like right now, if we think about it, we're three different guys who have different tastes in music that if it wasn't for our taste in music, this is why we started this podcast, was to kind of get behind the stories of those things, of why they are, right? So now it's like we're at a point where we're kind of unveiling that, but then we're also realizing like, wow, there's a sentiment to the things that we grew up watching or listening to. How can we somehow bring some of that essence into our platform and like create a sense of, I would say a sense of curation to be able to say, we do like this person, or we do like the person of what this thing is doing. We want to put it on our platform and say like, this is what we feel like should be talked about. And it's the people like the Deli Everydays, the Chevy Gang Casses, the Dre Bakers, those people that are like really putting on for culture that I feel like are moving things forward. And it's things like that. I was like, that's what makes me excited, and like what gives me some reminiscence of that time period.
Yeah, love it. Dom, send us off, dude. What you got?
Man, I don't know, man. The technical issues got to me today, but
I was gonna say, dude, you're the Snoop.
But I'm also like a little sweaty. I'm a little hungry, but we
got a little hot.
Listen, we made this work, and I love having the boys episodes. Dude, we don't do this often, so it's special when we do. Ear God, for those of you who don't know, was supposed to be here this weekend, so we're glad that he was able to hop on the group this Friday and bless us with the talk and the blessings. But we're waiting for you to come out here, dude, and join us live. It hasn't happened. It literally happened one time.
So. Yeah, I'll be there sooner than you think. I was supposed to be there for 4 days this weekend, didn't end up happening. But hey, like we keep things moving forward. We keep the episodes coming, and best believe the Ear God will be touching down to Arizona very, very soon.
Oh yeah, Drew, send us out on that note, dude.